I've already done a video which is on my channel about who I think is going to win, Mayweather Pacquiao, what my thoughts are about the two guys, etc. Let's put that to one side for now. In this video, I'm not here to discuss who I think is going to win. What I'm going to discuss is the tactics, the styles, and how I see this fight physically breaking down. Now, in the build-up to this fight, I've been following it closely. I've been watching everything that's out there to watch on this fight. You know, I'm starting to really get excited and buy into the hype, buy into the prep. But I've heard a lot of stuff that I consider to be nonsense with regard to how this fight is going to go. Now, we'll see. I may be wrong and I may be right. But I was listening to the Boxing Voice the other day for a few hours about them talking about this fight. And I've watched a few other channels as well. Let's start with Floyd Mayweather. I've heard some stuff on the Boxing Voice about how he's the power puncher, about how he's much bigger than Manny Pacquiao. But most importantly, I've heard stuff about how he's coming forward. You know, he tends to come forward against southpaws. He tends to fight more aggressively against them. Look at that sparring footage on Instagram. Look how he was coming forward, throwing bombs. I've heard this sort of thing about how Floyd's going to shock the world and come forward and start throwing power punches, start working the body hard from the beginning. For me, that's just not going to be how the fight breaks down whatsoever. Let's put it this way. I do not see Floyd Mayweather coming forward and trying to knock Manny Pacquiao out early. I don't see him trying to use his size to dominate Floyd Mayweather. Put simply, this is the biggest fight of Floyd's life, and he has to use his clear advantages. He has to play to his strengths. Now, what are his strengths? Floyd, in my opinion, is the elite defensive fighter of our generation. Certainly, he's a more elite defensive fighter than Manny Pacquiao. For me, the areas that Floyd has the most advantages are in his back foot game, in his defence, in the angles he creates defensively, in his counter-punching ability. I do not see Floyd and Manny both charging at each other and this going off in the centre of the ring like a gunfight. I just don't see that happening. I know Floyd's looked aggressive against sparring partners. I know Floyd's looked he's looked like he's punching a heavy bag with real power, like he's coming for the knockout. But to me, that's just not how Floyd takes care of business at an elite level. And I don't think he's going to give up his natural advantages and get involved in an absolute war in the toughest fight of his life. So for me, all of this stuff is pretty nonsensical. I've heard things about how Floyd is the much bigger man, how he's hitting with more power. Yeah, let's be honest. Floyd is unlikely to stop Manny Pacquiao. He's unlikely to knock him out. Floyd hasn't knocked anyone out for a very long time. The Victor Ortiz knockout is controversial at best. And for me, Floyd is a very tactical, astute defensive fighter. I expect to see Manny Pacquiao chasing him around the ring. I expect to see Manny Pacquiao pushing the pace and being the aggressor. And Floyd's looking to use his defensive advantages and land the more eye-catching shots in his typical fashion. So I throw that out the window. Now, I've also heard conversation about how there's a chance Manny Pacquiao will outbox Floyd. That Floyd may struggle with the southpaw stance. Floyd may struggle with the combinations, with the speed. And yeah, clearly Manny Pacquiao is dangerous in those areas. But for me, Manny Pacquiao shouldn't be sitting back trying to outbox Floyd, trying to beat him to the jab, let's put it this way. Canelo tried to box with Floyd and he lost every round. Marcus Maidana tried to overwhelm Floyd and he had great success in spells of that fight. Now, I would suggest Canelo would be widely regarded as the better fighter out of Canelo and Maidana. Yet Maidana had much more success. Now, if you think that Maidana tried to overwhelm Floyd with his output, with his activity, with his come-forward aggression, Manny Pacquiao's got that in different ways. Clearly, he isn't the physical force of a Marcus Maidana, but what he does have is, better technical capability, more eye-catching combinations, faster hands, better accuracy potentially. So I think even though Manny Pacquiao is a very different type of fighter to Marcus Maidana, he could potentially have success overwhelming Floyd, especially early, through his output, through his volume, through his aggression. I'm not looking for Manny Pacquiao to be giving Floyd awkwardness from the southpaw stance. I'm not looking for him trying to beat Floyd to the jab. I'm looking for Manny Pacquiao to try and overwhelm Floyd. I'm looking for Manny Pacquiao to try and steal rounds on the basis that he is the more active fighter and Floyd simply doesn't have enough output to be squared around. That's how I'm viewing it. And from Floyd's perspective, I'm certainly not expecting him to come forward. I'm certainly not expecting him to be looking for the early knockout. I think people are expecting this fight, fighters to make big adaptations. And there's all this stuff about Floyd's going to surprise us on the night. Floyd likes to keep us on our toes. But let's be honest, there's enough footage on these two guys to know how they operate, to know how they perform at the elite level. And they've had great success in their career operating in the ways that they do. On the Boxing Voice, I'm a huge fan of that podcast, and I'm a big fan of Nez who presents it. But his chat about Mayweather, is going to surprise us. Mayweather's going to come forward. Look at what he did to that sparring partner on Instagram. He's going to bring that kind of aggression. Prepare for prepare to be surprised. I just don't see that at all. I do not see that at all. I think Mayweather's going to be sitting back, looking at the footage of Tim Bradley and Marquez having some success against Manny Pacquiao. I think Floyd is going to be working on how to avoid, Pacquiao's predominantly one-handed assault and to counter-punch. I'm thinking Floyd is going to be working out how to land his lead left hook, on the back foot. I think that's the way it's going to be. For me, the question isn't whether Manny Pacquiao is going to outbox Floyd. It isn't whether Floyd is going to come forward and create a war. It isn't if either man has the power to knock the other one out. I view those as almost non-issues in the context of who's going to win this fight. For me, the issue is as follows. Will Manny Pacquiao's volume be enough to get the job done? Or will Floyd Mayweather's cleaner work be enough to get the job done? And I think that's an open question. As I say, I'm not going to discuss in this video who I think is going to win. I've already done that. But what I would say is Floyd isn't getting any younger. And the way Marcus Maidana was able to steal rounds of Floyd, I gave Marcus Maidana 4 rounds in the first fight and 2 in the second fight. But if we look at the way he was able, to take those rounds from Floyd by work rate, volume, aggression, momentum, can Manny Pacquiao, who is a much more elite fighter than Maidana, exploit similar successes? But at the same time, if we look at the way Manny Pacquiao can be countered, if we look at the way he can at times be open defensively, if we look at how he can almost be predictable on occasion in terms of his offense, will he be able to avoid the clean work of Floyd Mayweather? And will he be able to land enough on what is the elite defensive fighter in our times? For me, this is a game of cat and mouse. This is Manny Pacquiao being the aggressor, doing the chasing, and Floyd on the back foot, counter-punching. That's how I see this fight going stylistically. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts. I'm interested to discuss. Please comment below. Follow me on Twitter, @BoxingGossip. If you'd like any requests, anything you want to see me talk about, comment below. Drop me an email, boxinggossip@googlemail.com. Thanks for watching.